Content warning. Echo can be emotionally intense experience and may not be for everyone. Echo contains themes of adult nature, including violence, torture, drug usage, and harsh language. Viewer discretion is advised. He throws a pan across the room and it crashes into the wall. I'll fucking kill him. I'll fucking kill that. Content warning. The following scene contains verbal descriptions of physical and sexual torture. Viewer discretion is advised. Skip to 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Content warning. I stare at him, my eyes wide as I watch him stamp his feet like a little kid. Then he slaps himself across the face twice. After that, he closes his hand into a fist and punches himself in the head repeatedly. It's with a force that would knock me out cold. It might be funny if I wasn't tied down to a contraption in the trailer belonging to Brian. Brian stumbles after what seems like the fifth blow and covers his face. His massive shoulders shake with sobs. Thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Thinks he can boss me around. Brian whirls around and slams both his fists into the counter several more times, the sound of shifting glass accompanying it. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. His voice crescendos into a pitch and volume before he finally slumps against the counter, head in his hands as he starts crying again. I breathe as quietly as I can, not wanting to draw any attention to myself. I'll get him. I'll fucking get him. He won't control me no more. Suddenly, his quick shoulders freeze. Slowly, he turns, and with a sinking heart, I realize he's looking right at me. The fur on his cheeks, already matted before, are now flat with shiny, wet. Snot runs down his nose, down to his upper lip. Then I see red dripping from his left fist. The fur on his right is matted with blood as well. He watches me for a while, then grins. Am I funny to you? I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. He suddenly strides right up to the end of the platform, standing between my... feel the numb, the fear taking up very far of my being. I feel nothing else. You like seeing him make fun of me? I try not to speak again, but still nothing comes out. I swallow. No. My lips are trembling and my voice shakes. I've never stuttered so hard in my life. You know what I'll do to you if I could? I don't want to read that. I don't want to see that. I'd rather you just shut up, Brian. I'd rather you just shut the fuck up and sit down. Oh, I swear to God, I'll fucking tell you. He resists the hand. He rests a huge hand on my crotch and presses down. I cringe and whine. Please. Brian's grin only gets bigger and he rubs. Oh, good. You already know how to beg. Ah! He leans forward to my face, moving his hand to clamp over my mouth. And then I hang you for hours. I stare at him, breathing hard through my nose, tears leaking down the sides of my face. His hand slides down from my mouth to the neck, and he starts to squeeze. Then I'll give you a little stool to stand on and watch you start to go out. Then I kick it away again. That's what happened to Craig. Holy fuck. Both from the squeezing and from his reeking breath. He stares hard at me, and I can feel his crotch grinding up against me. He's hard. Then he blinks and slowly pulls back. He watches me gasp and sob for a while before reaching down again. I try to turn my head away, letting out a moan of terror, but he doesn't grab my neck again. Checking the skin around my neck. Better not Bruce. That fucking saw that? His expression darkens again. You fucking tell Duke about this. He raises a fist and I cringe. No, I won't. No, I won't, I swear. I turn my head away, eyeing his raised fist. He holds it there for a while, watching me. He seems to be calculating something, like he's wondering if he can get away with what he's about to do. Then he seems to make up his mind. Good. With that, he slams it. Oh, God, that's loud. I'm so sorry, guys, about the ringing. With that, he slams his fist down right into the center of my torso, just below the ribs. My vision flashes, and I hear a rasping, droning wheeze that I realize was coming from my mouth. It goes on and on until there's no air left in me. Then I can't breathe in again. My vision goes black as I suffocate, writhing against the restraint, wanting to curl up into a little ball and disappear. Feels like hours, days before I finally get a sip of air. My mouth gapes as I try to suck it in faster. Brian is standing over me now, and I'm somehow surprised that he's got a worried look on his face. He probably thinks he killed me. But then my stomach starts to turn and lurch. Before I even realize I'm about to puke, a gush of vomit fills my mouth and I start to choke. Shit! Brian hurries to my side as I'm giving a second heave mixed with a gag. He tips the platform over sideways. His huge paws pushes my face to the side to look at the ground as I watch it as it spills to the ugly carpet. When I finish, Brian slowly tilts the table back up, looking at me with disgust. At this point, I'm too tired to cry. Instead, I lay there in a daze, occasionally hacking or coughing. Brian goes to the kitchen, rustling around a while before returning with water and paper towels. He wipes my face and nose before tilting my head to drink the water. Rinse and spit! He holds the mug there until I do as he says. When he gets down to his knees, I watch his head bob up and down as he busies himself with the mess off the floor, muttering about Duke finding out. I'm too numb to really care right now, though. Right now, I'm starting to realize that I might not survive this. Brian calms down pretty quickly after his tantrum. Once he cleans up the mess, he splays out on the couch and starts watching TV. It's some kind of cartoon about a pink cat, and he actually laughs along with the juvenile jokes. While this goes on, I quietly lay against the platform, trying to start crying again. My mind keeps wandering back just hours ago, how everything seemed fine for the most part. I keep wishing I could go back to the beginning of the week. Thinking about that makes me sentimental, and I'm longing to see Leo, TJ, Carl, Jenna, or even Flynn again. Where are they all right now? Duke said things about were bad out there. Are they in some sort of trouble? If that's the case, the cops should be here by now. Someone would have gotten word out, wouldn't they? If people were murdering each other like that, what happened to Janice? There's no way that wouldn't be the case. Brian lets out another explosive laugh, wiggling his feet and arms on the couch. Earlier, he tried to feed me some dried cereal, but it was like cardboard in my mouth. And after only a handful, I couldn't eat anymore. I'm just thankful that he's preoccupied with something else right now. There's a soft knock at the door, and Brian jumps quickly, changing the channel to golf before he gets up and lumbers over to the door. He pauses, then rifles through some magazines on a small table next to the couch. He pulls out a handgun that looks cartoonishly small in his hands before making his way to the door. I weakly turn my head in the direction and watch Brian open the door a crack. He chuckles. World's going to shit and you're still coming here for more? Hey. Brian pushes the door a bit more open and I catch sight of the skinny, malnourished polecat. Clint is looking up at Brian, appearing even more disheveled than usual. So are we doing... Clint had stepped up into the first step and looked into the trailer, immediately spotting me. He stares, the shock on his face almost comical. Brian turns to see what he's looking at, as if he's forgotten that I was even there. He gives a start before shoving Clint back out the door. I'm full today. Already got someone taking your spot. Clint's now out of my line of sight, but I can hear him shuffling around in the dead vegetation. Please, I really need something right now. We could do it outside. There's a moment of silence as Brian seems to contemplate that. No, I got some business to take care of. Tomorrow, maybe. Clint starts to whine again, but Brian swings the door shut with a bang. Fucking dopehead. Brian walks back into the room, looking down at me, then back at the TV. Probably shouldn't have let him see you, though. He mumbles before sitting back down and switching the channel back to the cartoon. I stare at my reflection. Even from here, I can see that my eyes are bloodshot, the fur on my face matted. There are dark spots on my shirt too, and distantly I wonder if Brian had broken my rib when he punched me. Then I remember that his hand had been bleeding when he did that. I feel strange right now, numb. It kind of feels good after a whirlwind of emotions I had earlier. I still haven't caught up to everything that's happened since I was at that diner. Would I ever be able to? Would I have time if Brian planned to? A tinge of panic pierces through my fog of dissociation, and I clench my eyes shut, screwing up my face as I try not to start crying again. Brian snorts at something at the TV. I open my eyes to the distraught otter laying on the wooden torture contraption. Why is there a mirror on your ceiling? I surprise myself by asking the question. Apparently, I really don't give a fuck at this point. I see Brian look over me from my peripheral vision. Hit! You really want to know? I shrug the best I can, continuing to stare passively up at the ceiling. The moment sent electric tingles through my arms, which are completely numb at this point. Well, Brian shifts around the couch as he tries to get a better look at me. When I has my fun, I like them to see what I'm... Oh, no. I stare up at the mirror, my expression still blank. I mean, it's not just about what I'm feeling. What they're feeling is important, too. The fear. That's what Brian likes. Sure, I can chokes you all I want, cut you all I want, but when I do that, you're not thinking about what's actually happening. Brian shifts into a sitting position, now more interested in our conversation than the cartoons. I realize now I probably made a mistake. Wanna see? I keep my face blank, staring at myself. I'm gonna say trigger warning here. There might be something that pops up on the screen, so look away now, or just look away for 5 minutes. I don't say anything. Brian gets up anyway, comes around to stand over me, above my head, blocking my view of the mirror. His reeking stench fills his nostrils, but still, I try not to give him the satisfaction of seeing how afraid I'm starting to become. His massive hands reach around my head and start to fiddle with something I can't see. One quick motion, the strap comes back down over my neck and my eyes widen. I grip my teeth and try to press my head as hard as I can to the platform behind my head to lessen the strain. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's enough to make me want to gag. Brian chuckles again. See? You're probably only thinking about how it's hard to breathe right now. Just trying to figure out how to make it stop, but... Brian leans back, revealing the terror-stricken otter on the ceiling, his eyes bulging, teeth bared. Now you see what's happened to you. Your brain's telling you, yeah, this is really fucking happening. The leather squeaks a little as he pulls it down tighter. I start to writhe at this point, and I see my tongue sticking out, my face a mask of horror. You feel more, and that's what I like. Sick bastard, I hope he dies. Brian comes back into my vision, his expression different. He's really searching for my face now, like he's looking for something. Maybe you like it too. Finally, with a final squeak of leather, Brian lets go and I gasp hungrily for air. Brian pets my head while I cough, inhaling shakily. Hey, don't exaggerate, that was nothing. He moves away again and slumps back into the couch, pulling at his crotch. Your buddy Clint gets it way worse. I choose not to stare at the choking otter on the ceiling and instead look out the window, feeling fresh tears roll down my eyes. I'm not sure if it's from the choking or the black hole in my chest. I watch the leaves rustle around the wind and think about where the others are, why no one's coming to help me. Finally, I turn my head back into the ceiling. The blank expression has returned. Brian continues to chuckle at the cartoon, and despite myself, I ask another question. Oh my god. Have you ever killed someone? For the first time, Brian ignores me. I don't say anything for the rest of the day. I stare into the darkness, the only faint source of light coming from the moonlit leaves through the window. It's been less than 24 hours since I've been kidnapped. Still, it makes no sense that someone hasn't found me. Is what Duke said about the town true? I wonder what Leo's doing right now, if what he's going through is just as bad. I doubt it is. At least Duke seemed slightly less unhinged. I give a soft, trembling sigh, my head still throbbing from the day's event. The thunderous snoring from Brian is literally shaking the platform I'm on, and though I drifted off a few times, I can't sleep. He's right next to me, his stained couch apparently doubling as a bed. I shift around on the contraption for what feels like the 100th time trying to get comfortable when I feel something. There's more give to my right arm than I remember. In fact, it's incredibly loose. I pause and experimentally wiggle my arm around before easily pulling my hand out of the restraint. I freeze, disbelieving, not wanting to believe in case it isn't true somehow. Painfully, I crane my neck to look at my right arm. Though it's dark, I can see that my arm is clearly free. My elbow on the board, hand in the air. I swallow hard, listening to Brian's snores again to make sure he's actually asleep. I try to keep my breathing even, not wanting to make any more sound than I need to, but I'm almost sobbing with relief at this point. Yep, Comfy's not having a good time. Comfy had to take multiple breaks of Leo's route. Best of luck, friend. Oh no, that luck has gone. Gone, Steve. That luck is gone. Comfy almost had Comfy is scared. Comfy is full of anxiety. Comfy is hoping that these two hillbillies die. But also Comfy had like an entire just like, wow, these are a lot of red flags that Leo is showing that are similar to past relationships that I've had. And it kind of relates way too hard. And I don't like it here. But yeah, no, this is good. It's a really good visual novel, and we're up to a good point. Like we're getting there. We're like, I'm skipping Critical Role completely. I'm finishing this today, or if I can. Now I'm able to partially sit up and make short work of my left arm restraints. Fully sitting up now, I do away with the final 2 ankle restraints and slide off the table quietly. Brian is still snoring at full volume, and it covers up what little sound I make. Making my way over to the messy floor, I find the steps and try not to stumble down the open door. Incredibly, there's no squeaking or rattling as I do, and before I know it, I'm outside in the cool air. I run through the woods and onto the road, sobbing with joy as I see Leo's house. The lights are on. As I'm running towards it, I think I even see Carl's horns through the window. I run up the steps of the porch and bang on the door. Leo, Carl, I got out. Open the door. Through blackness, I stare, trying to comprehend. You really fell for that. I hear my own voice, but it isn't me that said it. Instead, it's a higher pitched, like I'm hearing it from a video recording rather than my own throat. Then I'm sucked into the blackness and slammed hard back onto a wooden platform. Jesus. All at once I realize what happened. My heart feel like it drops through my chest. Of course. A dream. I'm back in the hot, stifling trailer, and it looks even darker than it did in my dream. I close my eyes and start to cry quietly. It feels like I've just found out that I'm locked up in a psycho's trailer all over again. I turn my head to look out the window above Brian, longing for some daylight, and then I see 2 white eyes set against a black face staring back at me. I jump. What the fuck? Am I still dreaming? And I see 2 beige-colored ears above the head. Could so? I gasp again, quieter. I'm overcome with relief once again, but the fear that I'm dreaming is still overpowering it. I wave my left arm as much as I can, but I'm not sure he can see it. I realize that none of the light from the window is falling on me. Kusa moves to the side, then back again, squinting clearly, trying to see inside. I'm thinking about making noise, calling out his name, but I have no idea how deep of a sleeper Brian is. Brian gives out a louder snore and rolls over. Kusa seems to have heard it, his big ears perking before he ducks down. My heart hurts just losing sight of him, and I strain out my bonds. Brian seems to be waking up, though mumbling something in his sleep. Oh no, you're dead. I pull up my right arm again in case my dream had to be something. It doesn't budge. Fucking cunt. Brian really starting to kick around and now, his massive form rolling over onto his stomach, rubbing his face into the pillow. He starts to make a loud gasping sound, and he gets to his knees on the bed. Bike off! He holds his hands up, snarling. You're dead! You're dead! I stare at him, almost forgetting about Kutsu. His eyes are open and they snap to me, his hands still out. No, no. His face is etched with horror, eyes wide and white in darkness. He backs up against the back of the couch as he continues to stare. I stare back at him, unsure of what he's going to do. After about 10 seconds, his expression starts to melt from horror to confusion. I continue to stare back, bracing for another explosion from him for whatever reason. His shoulders drop again and he frowns at me. What? Did you see her? My mouth is dry, so I swallow a few times before I can answer. Who? Brian didn't respond and starts to look around the trailer. I see Kutsu starting to poke his head up again. At this point, I've made it up my mind that I want to escape tonight. I'm not going to spend another minute with this maniac. Making the decision that could mean life or death so suddenly is terrifying and exhilarating. I don't give myself time to think about it. Brian! He doesn't answer, starting to get up and look around. Brian! I have to go to the bathroom. Brian sighs as he flips on the lights. Kutsu drops out of view again. Brian heaves a huge sigh before turning the counter. He reaches for a pan and dumps out some murky water in the sink. I wrinkle my nose. He shrugs at me. What? This'll do. No, I have to use your toilet. My stomach is feeling really bad right now. Brian turns and really looks at me. Like what? You're gonna puke? I shift on the platform. No, I think I have diarrhea. Brian pulls a look of extreme disgust, which is kind of funny for someone who apparently never showers. Oh, come on! He glares at me like it's my fault that I might be sick. He looks around a while, then back down at the pan. Then the bear seems to quickly disregard the idea and sets it back down on the counter. Comes across next to me and starts to undo my restraints. If you try anything... No, I promise. I just really need to go. Brian grumbles as he starts to roughly undo my restraints. I'm glad he's so fucking dumb. I take care not to look at his crotch as it's pressed uncomfortably close to my face. As he pulls my right arm out, I gasp in shock and pain. It feels like a million needles are poking through it as he pushes my arm down next to my body. It will do that. If your arms are restrained for that long, the blood is pooling. So it's all coming rushing down his arm right now. Wait, fuck. Brian pauses as he watches me grimace in pain, and I worry he's getting off on it. At that moment, though, there's something rustling next to the window, and I try to groan over it. Oh, fuck. The bear looks at me bewildered and annoyed. What? Now my dreams seem even more ridiculous that I'd so easily be able to run off. Everything's falling asleep. Just take it slower. Brian sighs even louder and gets to work on my left arm anyway. This time, he doesn't yank my arm, though, and lets me slowly move it on my own. It's not nearly as bad as my right, which is still violently tingling, but I have to grip my teeth as I move it to the rest on my chest. Luckily, my legs are fine, and I'm able to move them easily after Brian takes them out. It makes me worry about what I'm going to try since I'm not nearly as strong as I should be. Brian is clearly on guard, and as he helps me sit up from the contraption, keeping his distance as he holds onto my arms. I sit there for a moment, letting the circulation return back to my limbs as I try not to fall over from dizziness. Brian finally giving a growl of annoyance and pulls me off the wooden platform. We're gonna make a move. There's nothing nearby for me to grab, so instead I swing with everything I have to smash my fist up against the side of Brian's face. Something cracks in my hand, the pain rushes up my arm. I gasp and cringe and Brian grunts. Brian pauses and slowly brings his hand to feel the side of his face. I guess I hope that I'd be able to knock him out with a punch? But doing that as an honor to a bear, especially a bear like Brian, would have been quite the feat. Brian does seem stunned enough, and that's all I need to take a huge breath and scream out loud as I can. Kuzo! Brian whirls on me, swinging his fist along with me. I duck immediately, covering my head with one arm, the other still locked in Brian's grasp. He's only partially missing, his fist catching the top of my head and my arm. It knocks me to the ground and I sit in there in a daze. I don't have long to collect myself because Brian is pulling a foot back to kick me. Shut up! I'll roll to the side and start trying to back away. I'm crouched, but Brian yanks me up by my arm, my head jerking back with force. Now I'm starting to wonder if Kutsu ended up leaving. If that's the case, then I'm definitely dead because there's no way I'm going to break his grasp. As I'm thinking this, the door bangs open. Brian is in the middle of drawing his fist back when it happens, and he freezes, looking over at the door. Kuzo stands there, his eyes wide behind his black mask, chest heaving. He's scared, I can tell, but Brian's shock gives me an opening what I was looking for. I reach between his legs and grab his balls. Weirdly enough, the first time I thought I would have about how fucking big it is, it takes both of my hands to wrap around it fully, and when I do, I twist and yank down as hard as I can. I pour all my fear and anger in the attack, snarling as I did. The scream that Brian lets out is a high pitch, and I feel like every glass in the trailer is going to explode. This attack is all I have left, so when his retaliation comes, I don't do anything to defend myself. Luckily, it's not a punch or kick, but rather he grabs the fur on the back of my head, along with my shirt, and tries to pull me back. My face stretches back as I stubbornly hold on and just yank down even harder. His sack recognizable as balls. His screaming suddenly cuts off when the sound of a deep, sickening smack. Immediately, Brian's body crumbles onto me as he falls to his hands and knees. It happens in a way that he's splayed over me. His face is inches from mine. I have time to smell his gag-inducing breath before the sound something happens. This time I see Kutsu swinging something down hard from overhead and Brian's head jolts. I watch as his eyes lose their focus on me and he slumps down. I turn my head sideways as it comes to rest on my body, crushing the air from my lungs. Kutsu is there immediately and pushes Brian off to the point of being able to pull me out. He pulls me into a sitting position next to him. Are you okay? He's shaking. I really hope he's not working with them. My thoughts immediately thought like, oh, this is fake. And he's actually working with them. He's shaking. I can hear his ragged breath in my ear. The contrast between being engulfed in Brian's stench and smelling Kutsu's shampooed fur and peppermint breath is striking. I can't speak, and instead I lean against Kutsu and wrap my arms around him as I sob. Kutsu holds on to me as he looks me over. Can you walk? I nod silently as I press my face into the fur of his shoulder. All right, come on. We can't stay here. He stands slowly, keeping me in the embrace as he guides me towards the door. I don't remember much about the walk back to Kutsu's house, aside from stilted flashes of dirt and sagebrush. It's dark and hot, and my shirts immediately start to stick to my sweaty fur. My legs are so numb that I don't even know if I'm moving them right. Kutsu has to hold me in the entire way so I don't fall over. Crickets chirp all around us, but every few minutes I hear shouting and screams in the distance. I try to look over my shoulder to see Brian is coming after us, but Kutsu grunts and tells me to keep watching my steps. Some circulation has returned to my legs, and I'm able to at least match Kutsu's stride over the uneven dirt road. Still, it feels like 1,000 needles are stabbing up my feet and legs in waves with every step I take. I'm genuinely afraid that I'm going to wake up at any second and find myself stuck in Brian's trailer. None of this seems real. I'm still watching my feet on the ground, so I don't notice Kutsu's house until I almost kick the bottom step of his rusty trailer. Just the side of the trailer is sending chills up my spine, even though Brian's trailer looks very different than Kutsu's. We stand in front of his door for a while as the raccoon fishes through his pockets for his keys. It's made it extra difficult with me hanging on him. I can stand on my own if you... Got it. Kutsu whips out a small gold-colored key before sliding it into the lock. Once we're inside, Kutsu immediately kicks the door closed behind us before reaching back to turn the deadlock. The inside of Kutsu's trailer is the opposite of its exterior.